rain came down in that particular way it did in late October. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just cold and persistent and deeply inconvenient. Emily Carter stood at the entrance of Briar and Stone, the cafe her best friend Christine had chosen because, as Christine put it, it's cozy but not desperate feeling. Emily had not asked what desperate feeling meant. She already knew she was about to find out. She checked her watch. 7:04 p.m. She was 4 minutes late, which was intentional. Arriving first at a blind date felt like showing up to your own auction. Inside, the cafe smelled of toasted cardamom and wood smoke, and the lighting was amber in a way that was probably very appealing to people who were not on the verge of canceling. Emily scanned the room, the way she scanned boardrooms, quickly, methodically, categorizing before committing. 3 couples, a group of college students near the window, a man sitting alone at the corner table, nursing what appeared to be a black coffee. He was the one. She knew it immediately, not because he matched any description Christine had given her, but because he was the only person who looked like he, too, was quietly reconsidering his evening. She made her way over. He stood when he noticed her, which was something, at least, and extended a hand. "Emily? That's me." She shook it. Firm grip, direct eye contact. She revised her first impression marginally upward. "Daniel Brooks." He gestured to the seat across from him. "I already ordered coffee. I hope that's okay." "It's fine." She sat, set her bag on the chair beside her, and studied him without apology. He was somewhere in his mid-30s, with the kind of face that had probably been handsome before it became tired, strong jaw, dark eyes, a small scar near his left temple she found herself wondering about. He wore a gray Henley and dark jeans, clean but unremarkable. No watch, no cologne she could detect. She was wearing a cashmere blazer that cost more than most people's monthly rent. She was not judging, she was simply noting. "So," she said, because silence had never been comfortable to her. "Christine says you work in engineering. Mechanical. Industrial systems, mostly." He wrapped both hands around his mug. "She says, you run a company." "I do. Software infrastructure. B2B, enterprise contracts." She paused. "Not very interesting at dinner parties." "Neither is industrial systems." Something moved in his expression, not quite a smile, but adjacent to one. "We're well matched in that department." She allowed herself a small laugh. A point to him. The conversation that followed was not bad. It was not good, either. It had the quality of a business meeting, where neither party was entirely sure what they were negotiating. Daniel answered her questions directly, without embellishment, which she respected in a professional context, and found oddly deflating in a social one. He asked about her work with what seemed like genuine curiosity but didn't press when she gave abbreviated answers. He did not try to impress her. He did not ask about her apartment, or her car, or where she'd vacationed. He also did not tell her she was beautiful, which she had come to expect, and had also come to find exhausting. So the absence of it was confusing. She was recalibrating, trying to figure out what category to put him in. At 7:38 p.m., his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and something shifted in his posture, a tightening, not anxious exactly, but focused. "I'm sorry," he said. "My daughter's babysitter just texted. She needs to leave earlier than planned." "Hi." He looked genuinely uncomfortable. "I'm going to have to go pick her up." Emily felt the small, guilty relief of an easy exit, arriving exactly when she needed it, and immediately felt worse for feeling it. "Of course," she said. "How old is she?" 7. His expression changed completely when he said it. The tiredness didn't disappear, but it reorganized itself around something warmer. "She's 7, and she has opinions about everything, and she's currently convinced that owls are actually just cats that learn to fly." Emily blinked. "That's a theory. It's ironclad, according to her." He was already reaching for his jacket. "I'm sorry. This wasn't much of an evening. It was fine." She meant it to sound gracious. She suspected it landed closer to dismissive. He paused, jacket half on, and looked at her for a moment with those direct, dark eyes. Not appraising, not hurt, just looking. "I don't think I'm what you were hoping for," he said. It wasn't self-pitying. It was just observational. And it landed with the precision of something true. She opened her mouth to offer a polite denial, and that was when the door opened. She came in the way 7-year-olds enter places wholly, without any of the social negotiation adults perform. The babysitter, a teenager in a yellow raincoat, was 2 steps behind, looking apologetic in the direction of Daniel, who had turned at the sound. But the girl, Lily, Emily would learn, stopped. She stopped in the middle of Briar and Stone, between the college students and the couple sharing a slice of cake, and she looked at Emily Carter with an expression that made Emily's carefully maintained professional composure do something deeply uncharacteristic. It cracked, not because the look was frightening, because it was recognizing. The way a child looks at something they have seen in a dream and then find, inexplicably, in waking life. "Daddy." Lily's voice was barely above a whisper. Daniel had gone very still. "Daddy." Louder now. "That's her. Lily. That's the lady from the story." The girl was moving forward now, unhurried, certain. The way children move when they are completely unself-conscious about what they believe. She stopped 2 feet from Emily's chair and looked up at her with enormous brown eyes. "You have the same eyes." Daddy said they were like. She squinted, remembering, like the color of deep water when it's about to storm, gray with green in them. The cafe noise continued around them. Someone's espresso machine hissed. A chair scraped. Emily could not speak. "Lily." Daniel's voice was very quiet. He was beside her now, one hand on her shoulder. "This is Emily. She's just someone Daddy was having coffee with, but she looks exactly. We should go." He crouched to Lily's level, his back partly to Emily, his voice low and gentle. "We talked about this, remember? About how sometimes you always say she had gray-green eyes." Lily was not being defiant. She was being devastatingly logical in the way of 7-year-olds who have not yet learned to edit their observations for social comfort. And long dark hair, and she was wearing something the color of smoke. She turned back to Emily. The cashmere blazer, Emily realized with a hollow dropping sensation in her stomach, was the color of smoke. "You saved my daddy," Lily said simply. "He talks about you every night." The teenager in the yellow raincoat had found something very interesting to examine on the ceiling. Daniel stood. He was not looking at Emily. He was looking at a fixed point somewhere near the window, and the line of his jaw was taut, and she recognized the look she had worn it herself many times of a person managing the specific humiliation of being known by someone who doesn't yet know them back. "I'm sorry," he said, to Emily, to the room, to the evening. I tell her stories." "I didn't expect." "What kind of stories?" Emily asked. She hadn't planned to say it. It came out the way things do when you've stopped performing and started reacting. Daniel finally looked at her. There was something guarded in his face, but underneath it, carefully packed away. Something that might have been the answer to a very long question. "Sit down," he said, eventually. "Please." A pause. "If you want to." She wanted to. Lily had claimed the chair beside Emily's, with the territorial confidence of a child who has decided something and is now waiting for the adults to catch up. She was drinking a hot chocolate the barista had brought without being asked. Daniel, clearly, was a regular, and she was listening with that particular listening that children do, the kind where they pretend not to while absorbing every syllable. Daniel told it slowly. 5 years ago, he said. His daughter had been 2. His wife, ex-wife, had left 8 months prior, and the departure had not been gentle. He'd been laid off from his engineering firm 3 weeks after that. A casualty of a restructuring that had nothing to do with his performance and everything to do with timing, which he had not found funny then and did not find funny now. He was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in the kind of neighborhood where the laundromat was also a check-cashing place, and he had a custody hearing in 6 weeks, and Lily had been sick. Not catastrophically sick, but persistently, expensively sick, a respiratory infection that wasn't resolving. A pediatrician who wanted to run tests. A bill that was climbing past anything Daniel's depleted savings could absorb. I was at the hospital, he said. He was speaking to the table more than to Emily. His thumbs pressed together in his lap. Not the ER. The billing office. I had all these papers, the insurance dispute, the itemized bill. I was trying to explain to the woman at the desk that there had to be some error. That I couldn't. He stopped. I wasn't crying. I want to be clear about that. I was not crying. Emily, who had cried exactly twice in the last decade, once at her mother's surgery, and once during a particularly brutal acquisition negotiation, found this clarification unexpectedly affecting.